All right, thanks so much for coming. We're going to move into the second phase of the evening, where I'm going to go through some slides to express some of my priorities as we move forward. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and express your priorities and having some real great dialogue with each other, with the command staff, with the volunteers, with the Public Safety Committee members. Really to take this opportunity take advantage of this opportunity to really express how our priorities align. And then also express if we're missing something. So feel free during the presentation to run back out there and add another sticky if you think of something. And at the very end, as you're heading out, you can also add some of your thoughts as well. So to get started, I'm going to introduce the City Manager, Matt Huffaker, for just a few words.
Yeah, great to see everyone in person. It still feels like such a novelty now for us to gather together as a community in person and not have to stare at each other through the screen. Great to put a name to a face for many of you that are actively engaged in our council meetings on a regular basis. Robert, wherever you are, good to meet you today. Today was really twofold. First and foremost is an opportunity to honor Bernie, who's coming in as our new Chief of Police. Bernie is a 25-year veteran of the Santa Cruz Police Department. He was born and raised in Santa Cruz. If there's one thing that I've learned over the 6 months that I've been on the job, it's that this man loves this community. He lights up when he talks about it. He lights up when he talks about his officers. And I know that's why he's been willing to take on this enormous, challenging, and incredibly important job. And I just wanted to express my gratitude to you, Chief Escalante, for taking that on. Secondly, we're here because we want to hear from you all. This is really an inflection point as we look at the future of the police department, as we look at how we can best serve our community, as we can best keep pace with the changing needs and expectations of Santa Cruz. I think now more than ever, the expectations that are placed on our officers are greater. The expectations are greater than they really ever have been. And our officers do a tremendous job on a daily basis. Bernie continues to face the challenges with optimism because he sees the opportunities that our community has in front of us. And so we really look forward to engaging with all of you today, having those conversations and hearing more about your thoughts for the future of our police department. So thank you so much for your time.
Okay, I wanted to quickly introduce, you probably already met them, but the three members of the Public Safety Committee, Justin Cummings, Renee Golder, and Martine, Watkins. I want to thank Joyce so much for putting this together. We worked so hard. This is amazing work in collaboration with Elizabeth. Thank you so much for your help. And I also want to give a round of applause to all of our wonderful volunteers. Thank you so much for joining your time, taking time out of your evening and being a part of this and a part of our family. You do such great work. I want to introduce Deputy Chief Jose Garcia, part of my command staff. Interim Deputy Chief John Bush. I have Lieutenant Wes Morey. He oversees the east side of town. You have Lieutenant Greg Crofts. My apologies. Wes is the west side, so the traffic guru. That wasn't a mistake. We lined him up for that. Greg has the east side and the beach. And then you have Lieutenant Carter Jones, who is the central. You know, to be successful, you have to have a great team around you. And I'm so lucky to have these folks working so hard to meet so many challenges in this community. So I'm just so grateful for their work and their effort, usually 7 days a week, getting a call or a text from me about something. So I really appreciate your work, and thank you guys so much. Okay, we're going to get started. Okay, as Matt mentioned, I was born and raised here. I'm very proud of that. I have some folks here that I think changed my diaper. I'm very proud, to be a part of this organization in the community I was born and raised in. Not so much the changing of my diaper. Almost 26 years of service here. Started as a community service officer down in the Beach Flats under Chief Belcher. Worked my way up through the ranks, and here I am, and so honored to have this opportunity. We are going through a rebuilding process. Okay, we have some challenges that we're going to try to steer the ship a little bit. We're going to turn directions just a little bit, but it's going to take time. We didn't get into this position overnight, and it's not going to change overnight. But we do have a lot of work to do, and so much of that work and success really depends on the community and how we work together. So I identified at least 5 areas of priority for me from what I've heard, from what I've seen over the last almost 26 years. So one of my priorities is making the downtown a safe, vibrant community where merchants can thrive and the community can go down and enjoy themselves and feel safe. If you were here probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, you remember we had a downtown team that consisted of a sergeant, at one point I think almost 7 officers, just assigned to Pacific Avenue from like Laurel Street to the town clock. And right now we have 0. We have about 3 or 4 community service officers that are assigned down there that are doing a great job. We have our volunteers down there. We're putting every effort we can into the downtown safety, but this is one area that I want to change. I want to get back to officers on foot. I want to get back to officers on a bike and engaging with the merchants, engaging with the community. We also currently have 2 mental health liaisons that are contracted through the county. They work with our patrol teams, but there's also other resources downtown that I want to try to increase. I see that there's a need with mental health services in our downtown to get more services to these folks, get them into a better place. Okay, so one of my priorities is to work closer with county mental health and try to increase the level of services in our downtown along with law enforcement presence. Recruiting and retention, I have to say that this one's probably my highest priority. And the reason for it is because if we do not have a department that is well, and when I say well, I mean physically and mentally, if we do not have a department that's well staffed so people can enjoy some time off, we're not going to provide a very good service. The calls that they go to already are challenging enough. But currently we're working 12-hour shifts. So our staff is strained. And I always use the analogy of if I want my truck to run and get me to work every day, I got to change the oil, right? I got to take care of it. It's the same thing here. I need to provide opportunity for our staff to do fun assignments, things that they look forward to. They're excited to come to work every day. They're not looking at a 12 to 15-hour shift. They're not working from 6:30 at night to 6:30 in the morning. That's what we have officers doing right now. And then when they're called to these difficult scenarios, for me to ask for them to perform at a high level with a high level of compassion, and professionalism. I can't expect that out of people that are drained, they're strained, and they're not well. This is probably one of my biggest challenges. There's a lot of reasons for it, right? The national narrative was tough. I still have people that are interested in leaving the profession altogether. I just had a conversation with an officer today. He said it's too stressful. It's hard. Cost of living, obviously, is a strain on everybody. But today, we don't have as many officers that live in our community like we did when I started. We have to do this without lowering our standards. We expect a lot out of law enforcement, and they need to perform at a high level in split-second decisions. I cannot just go out and hire anybody and everybody. We have to maintain our standards, and I think that we have high standards. So I still have to be selective. The volume of work, I think everybody would agree that we're a small community with big city issues, big city challenges. It's really difficult when officers can go to the county or go to South County and work for other organizations or right over the hill, and they make it just as much money, if not more money, and they probably handle a third of the calls in a shift. That's hard to compete with. We have a high number of calls for service, a high demand for police resources, and some of it comes with some of the significant social issues that we have here. Between mental health issues, substance abuse issues, homelessness issues, these are all significant issues that are very challenging for law enforcement to try to put some sort of solution as the community calls us and expects a response. So these are just some of the very significant issues that stand out to me as far as our staffing. And then not only that, the retention and keeping people here and keeping them invested. Mental health response. I saw a significant number of Post-its over there and a lot of great feedback. Understand that we work really closely with the county behavioral health to try to come up with viable solutions to some of the issues. Keep in mind, law enforcement is a first responder that puts a Band-Aid on the situation. But we work closely with the county to try to find more long-term solutions. There's a lot of programs. I know that we've talked a lot about cahoots and some other models. I know that there's some new legislation coming out with new, instead of dialing 911, 988, we're all in favor of that, right? We need the professionals that are trained, that's what they do to respond to these. But the devil's in the detail. Who's working on Christmas Day out of those groups? Do you have a group that's ready to respond 365 days out of the year, 24/7? We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm really optimistic that we're moving in that direction to provide a better service delivery to these folks that are in crisis. As a county, we have a lot to do. We have one facility to take folks to, and I hear anywhere between 13 and 16 beds. Oftentimes, our officers are refused at that facility because they're full. So as a county, as a region, we need to keep working together to come up with better solutions than sending police officers to these situations. And we're all in favor of that. In the meantime, we need to provide our officers with the best tools and the best training. Our officers go through a significant amount of crisis intervention training. If not every year, every other year, we go above and beyond what post requires of us to be able to successfully handle these situations. And I think our officers do an amazing job in handling really challenging situations. But they're very challenging, and so we need to make sure that we have the best training and the best tools available to our staff. Quality of life issues. I've heard these for a long time. They're, typically what you could call lower level offenses. Littering, urinating in public, those sort of things. Public intoxication. Some of these ones that don't have a lot of consequences for the behavior, but they're really a nuisance to the community. And really, one of the challenges for us is to try to find a way to come up with some accountability for one's consequences and accountability for one's behavior. Right now, when we write an infraction citation, which is lower than a misdemeanor offense, it goes to civil assessment. There's no criminal assessment against the individual and accountability for their behavior. There's a new program through neighborhood courts, which I think is a great program, but they're still trying to build. And I fully support that. I've been in communication with the district attorney's office, and I've offered city money to support that sort of program. And really what it does is it gets at the root of one's behavior and what that means to the rest of the community, and gets them to understand what their behavior, how it negatively affects the community. That's getting to the root of the problem. Those are solutions. We can go out and write tickets all day long with very little consequences on the back end. Obviously, they're not going to go to jail. Obviously, it's not going to go to court. So the accountability with consequences is important, and I think the neighborhood courts is on point with their program and where they're going. I hope that we can expand that someday. And proactive enforcement. This kind of goes back to our staffing challenges. We can't be everywhere at once to witness the behavior, to do some of the proactive enforcement. And with our staffing challenges now, we're really just responding to emergency calls for service on a day-to-day basis and not able to go out and do proactive enforcement to try to help some of these nuisance or quality of life issues. Another priority of mine that I hear a lot of is traffic safety. I'm super excited that I think back in about October or November, when I took over as an intern, we put 2 officers back on motorcycles to do traffic enforcement, more of the proactive enforcement and focused enforcement on some of these areas that you've identified as the hotspot areas that you have the most issues with speeding for the most part, or stop sign violations. Again, it comes with increased staffing and being able to build up that program and put more officers on motorcycles. Also, the education piece, as I mentioned, we can't be in all places at all times. We work really closely with our public works department in trying to create more of traffic design solutions, because we can't be at every stop sign all the time, obviously. So if we can come up with good creative traffic design solutions, I think we'll have a better effect on some of the speeding and traffic issues that you've pointed out to us tonight. I also just remembered, I forgot one thing about the downtown that I really wanted to talk about, was we work really closely with economic development, Parks and Rec, and Public Works to create, again, we can't be down there all the time, to create a friendlier, more positive environment, a safer environment for more longer-term solutions versus down there writing tickets or taking people to jail. Those are just Band-Aids. The design is what we really want to look for longer-term solutions. But I forgot to mention that and I know that we've already been working closely with those other departments and the merchants and the property owners to figure out some better designs that we can come up with. So, out of these priorities, I really do want to hear On the board there was an opportunity in the back right there to, it's titled Let Us Know, for some of the priorities that you think we missed. I plan on taking all of this information back, and as a command staff looking at some of these, not only challenges, but the opportunities. I don't have all the answers, we don't have all the answers. Some of you might, and hopefully you've put those up on a post-it. But if you think of a priority that I have not identified tonight, I really hope that you take the time to put that up on that board back there in the back right corner. And it might be something that we've missed. This is an opportunity for you to not only listen to me, but I want to listen to you. And we had some great conversation that was going on, and through the post-its, hopefully those conversations will continue. Short and sweet, that is the end of my presentation. I want to thank you all for coming. My email, I'm sure you can find it on our website, but it's bescalante@cityofsantacruz.com. Please share your opinions. If you want to meet one-on-one, we can meet. You know how to get a hold of me, but I'd like to hear from you if you had something that you didn't think about tonight, that you'd want to add, but you didn't feel comfortable putting it up. Whatever the case may be, it's important for us as an organization to listen to our community. That is the end. I want to thank the Public Safety Committee for supporting this and being here and hearing and listening to these conversations. We felt like it was very productive. My command staff, again, thank you guys for all of your hard work. And I'm not going to do this alone. It's these folks here and all of you that's going to move us forward. So thank you again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your